Hello Internet, this is game 3 of the first round game of the Nugget Bridge Invitational. Now, hopefully you saw the last two games because they were a bit of a sort of nail biter, I guess you could say, because there was lots of RNG involved. Both games he led with his Entei and Thunderous, and I led with Lipid and Thunderous, so I haven't changed things up at all because I don't think really there's any lead that he's got that can worry me, really. Nothing that he's got can stop these two. So, you know, he actually leads differently this game. He leads with his Landorus, which I suppose this is quite a typical lead, really, both of the genies. Now, first game I used Fake Out. No, I didn't. I used Fake Tears and Thunderbolt on his Entei, which knocked it out. The second game, I went for a Fake Tears and a Thunderbolt onto his Thunderous, swapping things up a little bit. Both games, he used Swagger on my Thunderous turn 1, because that's the only way that he can really stop my Thunderous from doing all this damage, just hoping that it hits itself. So I'm kind of expecting him to do that again, but I also know that my Thunderous, because my Lipid is faster than his Thunderous, that means that my Thunderous can get my Swagger off before he can Swagger me. Now, I can Swagger and I can Foul Play. This is part of the joy of using these two, because there's two options. I can Fake Tears and Thunderbolt, or Hidden Power, or I can Swagger and I can Foul Play. Now, because both of the other games, I've just gone for Fake Tears and an attack with Thunderous, I'm kind of hoping and expecting to get this move off. You know, obviously there's a 10% chance that Swagger can miss, but let's just, you know, ignore that for a moment. I get the Swagger off. Like I thought, he does Swagger me, so although I haven't burnt any Swagger turns, I have definitely got this move off now. And because of last game, I know that his Landorus isn't Scarfed. I know that it more than likely is Assault Vest. Lipid is going to get its attack off first, and because it's a +2 attack, it's just going to go down. So, turn 1 working out perfectly for me. Now, he brings in his Entei here, which makes things a little bit more interesting. Obviously, game 1, I went for the Fake Tears and the Thunderbolt onto his Entei. Now, last two games, both of them, I've been sort of saying that I've been playing a bit more impatient. I've not been, you know, using my head as much. I've just been sort of laying both of my Pokemon out there to, you know, be at the mercy of the RNG gods, I suppose. And that doesn't really change here, but I suppose for a good enough reason. I have got Scizor and Terrakion in the back again. You can see the rubber ducks there, so I'm not withdrawing my Thunderous. I really can't risk Terrakion's Lumberry getting burnt, because then he can just paralyze me or Swagger me again the next turn. And I really can't risk Scizor coming in on a Sacred Fire, because Scizor is very important, because I'm expecting he's either got his Cresselia in the back, which he brought both games, or his Aegislash in the back, which he brought in the first game. So Scizor, again, is really important here, as long as I can take care of this Entei. Now, Thunderous is trying to make a move. What's it going to do? It's going to Swagger. I get the Swagger off. Now, why did I do this? Let me think. So I go for the Swagger, and yeah, I'm right now. Yeah, this is what I'm doing. And he's Swaggering my Lipid. Okay, so he's trying to stop my Lipid attacking, obviously. This is a pretty ugly game, this, isn't it? All this Swagger. But I'm going for the Swagger and the Foul Play here. Now, I'm doing that instead of a Thunderbolt and the Foul Play. Why am I doing that instead? I don't know. Maybe I didn't think it through too well, because obviously if I mean, I suppose assuming that his Thunderous was going to Swagger my Lipid, which he does, and if my Lipid hit itself, then I would have got no damage off onto his Entei this turn. So, but you can see the Foul Play is going through. I probably should have just double targeted on the Entei with a Thunderbolt and a Foul Play. That probably would have been a bit safer, but I suppose by Swaggering his Entei as well, there's a little purple blob, by Swaggering his Entei as well, then I do kind of, you know, pull the RNG a little bit more into my favour as well, because he's got the chance of hitting himself as well. So, I did think that a +2 Black Glasses Foul Play would knock out the Entei, but we find out that it doesn't, and the Sacred Fire actually one-shots my Thunderous here. So I was a little bit worried, because his Thunderous is still there, and it is a problem. We actually find out that his Entei is leftovers here, so You know, maybe it's more of a defensive one. Maybe that's why the foul play didn't knock it out. But I bring my Terrakion in. I mean, I'm not going to bring Scizor in here, am I? So here's Terrakion. And he makes a really nice move here, actually. I mean, a really predictable move, but a really nice move. I'll bring in his Cresselia in and protecting his Thundurus. He showed Protect the last turn, but what this does is Lipid trying to move and hitting itself. That was probably just a foul play onto the Thundurus. And I Rock Slide here because he's got, you know, both of his Rock Weak Pokemon out. Basically, he's protected his Thundurus this turn, and he's brought his Cresselia in on minimal damage and activated his Keyberry, as we saw in the first game. Now, what that does is, obviously it gives him a +1 defense boost, but it also means that if my Scizor does get to +2, you know, with a knockoff, it's still not really going to be doing too much damage, because he doesn't have any item anymore, he's eaten his item, so knockoff doesn't do much damage, and obviously there's the, you know, defense boost, as I've just mentioned as well. So that was a pretty clever move on his behalf. I bring the Terrakion back, bring in the Scizor in. Lipid fortunately snaps out of confusion. I know again that it's faster than this Thundurus, so I can you know, just Encore that there. I mean, maybe he was hoping that I would hit myself there, or hoping that I wouldn't go for the Encore, but as long as I got that Encore off, which I did, thankfully, yeah, Scizor is a pretty easy, pretty, you know, very, very safe move, you know, switch in here, basically. So he's locked into Protect. He Psy-Shocks the Scizor here, which does minimal damage, and I'm in a really good position now. I feel like I've got this game in control, and as long as I don't fluff it up, I don't really see myself losing this game. Now, what I could have done this next turn is go for maybe the Encore onto the Cresselia, because, you know, Psyshock ain't going to do anything to Lipid, it's not going to do anything to Scizor, but aside from, like, maybe Ice Beam or, you know, Calm Mind, I mean, he's not going to Calm Mind, is he? Like, his Cresselia can't really do anything either way, so I thought, okay, let's start, you know, either getting some damage off on this Thundurus, or, as I thought he probably would do, as he is doing, he would withdraw and put in the Entei, and a foul play will knock that out. And so, I mean, Lipid does outspeed anyway, so even if I didn't catch it on the switch in, then Lipid can basically take care of this Entei, which is key, because like I've been saying, for the last two games, Scizor kind of runs through his team, as long as the Entei is gone. But he brings it in on a foul play. I don't think he really had too many options there, because if it just stayed in with his Thundurus, it would have been taking damage. He would have just been allowing my Scizor to set up, and his Cresselia can't really do anything there. So maybe he should have withdrew his Cresselia into Entei and just, you know, took a foul play with his Thundurus. That would probably worked out a bit better for him. But even still, he would have had to have swaggered my my Lipid to stop it foul playing his Entei the next turn. But that's just a whole another hypothetical situation that could have happened. Basically, I get my +2 up. You know, Lipid isn't really doing too much now. I probably should have actually gone for some more damage onto his Thundurus with a foul play. But I just Encore this Cresselia into Ice Beam. I presume because I've got Terrakion in the back, and it can take quite a few Ice Beams. It can't take, you know, too many Psy-Shocks. But he goes for the Swagger. This is his last-ditch move, really. Goes for the Swagger, puts my Scizor at +4, and confuses it. So, if I hit myself here, then I could be in a spot of bother. But, yeah, what's going to happen? Ice Beam is actually 2 at KO on Lipid from here. But, you know, Scizor, the only Mega Scizor to play at Worlds, you break through confusion. You're not messing around with Thundurus, are you? You slap that thing with your knocking off hand, and knocks off its safety goggles on the way, so that's quite interesting, because you probably saw he was playing me and thought, yes, let's use the goggles. Yeah, so the next turn, we're already into the next turn. Scizor is confused, it's a +4 and confused. The only way I can see me losing this game from here, because it is still possible to lose, the only way I can see me losing is by hitting myself and just knocking myself out, you know, in 2 turns basically. So I'm not going to mess about, I'm just going to withdraw, even though Scizor is at +4, I'm not going to mess around, I'm just going to withdraw it into the Terrakion, and get a little bit of chip damage onto his Cresselia with a foul play. It is at +1 defense, remember, because he's used his Keyberry. He knocks my Lipid out, but I'm not really too worried here. I think that Scizor and Terrakion can, you know, pull this game through. I mean, he can't do anything to Scizor, so I'm certain that I'll win this game. But it's always nice to, you know, play around and do it in a really fancy way, isn't it? As I go for a Rock Tomb, lowering its speed, which means that he is slower than my Scizor, which means he's only got one turn to freeze me now, which was that turn. Doesn't freeze me, thank goodness. Get my Sword Stance up, and I can just start dropping rocks and, you know, big black hands on him, basically, with the knockoff next turn. So here's a Rock Slide, fishing for flinches, knockoff. Now this is a knockoff on a Cresselia that hasn't got an item and is at +1 defense. And that actually does that much damage, like 35–40%. I did nothing. So you know, even if he throws the Scizor at this point, I'm pretty sure Terrakion can, you know, win through the game. So that was that. Ooh, we're playing it again. Whoops. So that was round 1 of the Nugget Bridge Invitational. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Please, again, like the video if you liked it, and subscribe and share it if you really liked it. Thank you guys. You know, I appreciate all that. And goodbye for now. Stay tuned for the next one. Bye for now.